All right, welcome everyone. We continue to just come up. I think these things pop in my brain, and I continue to have really great people to show up to our chats about development and diversity and development. So today we're talking about celebrity power and purpose. I am Dominique Anderson. I'm a social impact consultant with Dominique Anderson Consulting, and I sit in the middle between community and developers, and I work in pre-development and social impact strategy because we have to fix our communities somehow, some way. Every time that I do one of these chats, I kind of throw out conversations and requests to people and say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about doing this. If you want to jump in. And thus far, I've had some really cool people say, yep, let's go. So today, on kind of the celebrity and purpose, using your impact, right, and your influence for good is Keyunta Dawson, 8 years in the NFL, 4 different teams. None of them were the Raiders. I just want to keep saying that because he always harasses me when the Raiders win, and I always make sure to send big pictures when they do. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, and I promise not to harass him too badly today. Actually, probably not. And then we have Julius Christian out of Chicago. He's with the National Equity Fund, and he does construction risk analysis, and he's an affordable housing planner. And so he's a fellow hippie like myself in the money-making space of development. And I am really glad to have both of you guys here so that we can talk from all ends and passions and purpose. Great. And with that, I think maybe a couple of minutes, if you'll talk a little bit about where you came from and how you got where you are today. I will start with Julius and then we'll work backwards. So Julius, tell us a little bit about your space and passion in affordable housing.
Okay, my space and passion in affordable housing goes back to, my younger days. My father used to go in neighborhoods and fix up abandoned homes and, put them back on the market. So my passion started from there. I went to school for urban and regional planning at Florida Atlantic University, and I specialized in affordable housing. And then I moved on to, as a AmeriCorp, I went to go work as a construction crew leader. From there, I migrated to Chicago. I interned for the city of Chicago, TIF district. And I went to get a master's degree in inner city studies because I wanted to focus on, affordable housing. So I concentrate on what I need to do to revitalize some of these neighborhoods in the Midwest and how to bring affordable housing from there. And from then on, I went to work for CVR Associates, and they were subcontracted through Chicago Housing Authority to do their Section 8 vouchers. And then I went on to work for National Equity Fund as a construction risk manager. During that time when I was at CVR Associates, I was getting a degree in construction management at City College. So I basically focused more on the construction side and development side of it, affordable housing.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Key, what about you? How did you wind up where we are today?
It's kind of a similar story. Not at the beginning. The one of the reasons why I kind of got in the real estate space is my father. He's a pastor, and what he used to do, he used to go around and buy houses in bad areas, but he would actually put people in those houses. Either they were coming out of prison or they just needed some help in different ways to stay there for a little bit. And it was kind of like a safe home for people. So I kind of grew up in that space and saw that. And, I was blessed enough to be able to, once I left home, went to school at Texas Tech to be able to play in the NFL. I was a 7th-round draft pick. And with the nature of the NFL, your career can end at any day. You have a 2.5-year average career. So while I was playing, I was looking around for something to do. And I actually did my first major project, which was a naturally occurring affordable housing development project in my college town. So once I cleared that project, I got into other, entrepreneurial ventures and moved on. I did business brokering, and I did a lot of other different type of businesses. And I actually became a real estate investor doing buy and hold real estate ever since then. Now I'm working with Pathway Lending, which is a nonprofit, a community development financial institution, and I'm heading up the merger development program, and I'm helping small businesses get funding in underserved areas and rural areas. So I'm always in a space of helping others. That was something that was instilled, into me in a very early age. So I love real estate and I love helping people. And one of the things I kind of want to tell people that, a lot of people, when they hear affordable housing, they kind of squinch their face up and everything. You can help people and make money too. And that's kind of the gospel I want to be able to tell everybody today, and continue to tell everybody that you can go out and put your stamp on your community and help other people and still make money at the same time. So that's kind of just a little bit of snippet of how I got here today.
If I could wear that on a shirt every day, I pretty much would, right? So do well by doing good is the thing that people hear me say all the time, in addition to being a money-making hippie. And doing well by doing good should be the foundation of our world, right? And I do absolutely believe there's a place for capitalism. There's absolutely a place for making money and, living in this space. But I also know there's a place for doing good. So I love to hear that. And especially in my background in PR and being a publicist and having been in entertainment, nightlife, and lifestyle, and then crisis PR, I spent a lot of time around a lot of athletes, a lot of celebrities, a lot of people of influence. But there was always kind of a last thought effort to putting money into things, right? So Key, you probably know a lot of your fellow athletes that start foundations and they put money somewhere and then they walk away, right? But the thing that I like to think of in the conversations I have with people from my past life, as I like to call it, one of my trips around the sun, is that there's a way to use that money, benefit your tax, right? Benefit your taxes, but also you can see more of the social impact from your money if you do it this way. And you can still make money at it, so that when you leave the league, you have a purpose and a passion. Because I can't tell you the number of athletes I sat with who were in tears after their contracts ended, or right before, when they knew it was coming to an end. So I love to hear that. Did you both always have this, it sounds like from your brief introductions, you always had this ethical or improving project focus? Was that immediate, or did that take time? Key, did that take time, or was that immediate for you?
That was immediate for me. I've always had kind of a servant heart. Everything I did, even in like some of the commission-based stuff I did in the past, and I've always wanted to help that small business owner. I always wanted to give them the knowledge and educate them. One of the statements I always say is like, education and knowledge is best served shared. So everybody always want to gather knowledge and just use it for their own devices. But I always felt very free with giving people information and helping people out. Just like I had I'm a big storyteller, so I'm sorry if I go off, but I have a friend that I went to play college football with. He didn't play in the NFL. He had a really good job. He lives out in LA, and he never thought he would have a chance to be able to own a home. And I kind of walked him this past year, through house hacking. Was basically, you can buy a multifamily property and go through the process of living in one side and renting out the other, and being able to qualify with the FHA loan and being able to put less down. And just by walking him through that process, it's something that was totally foreign to him. He was able to have a home and have a second unit that he actually rented out to people that was in need, but it helped him with his mortgage. He has an opportunity to own a home in LA, which is a very hard market to own in. And he's like, I'm going to do this again in a year and keep doing it. And he's starting to teach those principles to his daughters. He has 3 daughters. He's like, this is what they're going to do. Like they're going to be in real estate. And just by sharing that knowledge and reaching out to people, even on the business side of things, is very helpful. But kind of what we were saying earlier before we started, it takes nothing to carve out a piece of your business for affordable housing and helping other people. And you can be, a staunch capitalist, and you can, have a business for profit, but it's always room in your numbers to help other people out. And that's why, my start in the industry always had that. Everything I did was based on the need of affordable housing. But even if I was doing some other venture, I always have something there to help somebody else. So it felt like it was always there from the beginning.
There's always room to help other people. There's always
Yep.
room in your capital to help other people. Write that down, everybody. What about you, Julius? What did you always knew that you wanted to do affordable or ethical improving projects?
Yes, started at a young age, seeing how when my father would go into some of these communities in Miami, and seeing how the people were excited to see him coming there and fixing some of these abandoned houses. Seeing how people in the neighborhood will ask for jobs. That's what motivated me. But just being a Black male, I believe we're put here to serve our community, and I would like to be an example of that for other people. My personal belief as a man, we should be in a position of serving our own community and protecting it. So yes, I always had that ethical, side of me. But I don't want to be the type of person that made it and then slammed the door on everybody that that helped me. I think I get turned off by people that do that. Once they reach a certain point, they start talking to everybody, and I never want to be that person. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I always have that belief of improving the community and making it last.
Awesome. I love that. So for both of you, I'd love to know right now if you have a project that you're working on, or a group of projects, or a community that you're passionate about working in. Maybe it's Chicago, maybe it's Nashville, or your hometown, or even Key, where you started. I know a lot of your story, so everyone just to know, I know it's a lot of his story. So where you started your career. What's the 10-year vision look like for these projects, or something that you have a passion project for? I'll start with Julius, and then I'll flip up to you, Key. Julius, what's a 10-year vision for you?
On my current job, we have a lot of projects all over the country. But on my personal, I would like to rehab an industrial warehouse into affordable housing, but in Chicago and in the Midwest. But I would like to rehab it where it fits the needs of the community. Like, I believe somebody that wants to get into development should have a social cause. So if I'm gonna rehab a building, I want it to reflect on solving issues of violent crime in Chicago. What can I do, to improve that neighborhood? So my 10-year plan as a personal investor myself to rehab an industrial building and turn into affordable housing.
Love it. Love it. What about you, Key?
Okay, 10 years, that's hard. I'm gonna try to do this quick. No, one of the things, so beginning of my career, the affordable housing development I did, it was based on the need. Everything I try to do it starts with the need and a problem, and see if I could solve them. So one of the needs in my college town was you had a lot of people who were nurses and construction workers and whatever industry, blue collar workers that couldn't qualify for loans. We did that development project in the middle of the Great Recession. So we tailored our business plan to target those people. We became the bank. We did some creative financing in some situations. And the one thing I love about real estate is, you can use your money and go buy a car or whatever, and it's going to end up in a junkyard at some point. But to be able to affect, a family, generations, to affect, go to, I can still go back now. We did that project 10 years ago, and I can still go back and see some of the kids that are grown now, and and they're flourishing, and they lived and grew up in a home that I had a hand in building and creating a community. They didn't have to live in a bad neighborhood. They actually, we moved our affordable housing neighborhood right by our golf course in the college town. So they was in a really nice area, and they had a clean clean streets to live up, to grow up on. And so that was the one thing I love, and that's something that I want to replicate in different areas. The biggest thing is do a bigger project in the Nashville area, because I live here now. I've been here since 2012, so I do want to get really connected in this community and do some projects. And I'm starting to get connected with some great people in this area and doing that. With my current job at Pathway Lending, I'm doing the emerging developer program. So being able to see people that might have not been able to get into development, be able to women, minorities, and other people be able to get into some of these jobs, and especially people that's local and native to Nashville. One of the things, you have a lot of people coming in from other places, putting a stamp on this area, and they just take their money and leave and go back wherever they come from. And I think it's really important for people in this community who's 3 or 4 generations here to be able to put their stamp and their fingerprints on these different projects in Nashville. My 10 year, I have a nonprofit when I first got into the NFL in 2007, and we did a lot of events to help people, but I wanted to do something that, that actually was long-term and kind of can grow with people. So being able to create kind of that model. I don't know if you heard of Ward Dunn. He built over 170 homes for single mothers. Even Deshaun Watson, which is a MVP type quarterback in NFL, grew up in one of his homes now. So it's crazy. So he took his money that he made in NFL and he reached back into those communities. And he was his mom was a single mother that got killed in New Orleans. She was a cop. And just be able to find that passion in his story to be able to help other people that was in a similar situation. So I want to be able to do something similar to that, to create homes in different areas, both here in Nashville and back home in Louisiana. And as part of that, I have some properties that I'm going to do some maybe some nationally occurring affordable housing in some lots I own in Shreveport. I'm in the process of getting my master's in real estate at Georgetown University. So I want to be able to take that knowledge and pass it forward to be able to benefit my real estate investment career and development career in the future. So I'm getting a really good handle on my educational side of things to be able to really do some really cool projects. But that's about it. 10 years is a long time, but it'll go really quickly. So I really I'm just energized and just trying to connect with good people and network and try to get some of these projects off the ground and just help my community.
Boy, you guys just aren't doing anything. Boy, you two are just so lazy. My gosh, you're not doing a thing at all to help the communities. So exciting. I say this every time I do one of these chats, but I promise I just seem to get surrounded by awesome people who are doing awesome things. And when you ask for something and they show up and they're just, dopeness is what they do. So Key, given all of the things where you are now and how you're adding to education and all of these parts and pieces, do you think that having been a professional athlete helped or hindered you at the start of your development career? Like when you came out, what did people think or say?
I think it helped me, but I think it hinders some other people in my same situation. I think it helped me because it opened some doors that might have not been open for other people, because a lot of people want to be associated with an athlete, some for good, some for bad. So you got to kind of watch that. But I reached out to a mentor. So I always have a hunger and thirst for knowledge. I try to reach out and get that knowledge in where I can. So I teamed up with somebody on my first project. And we might have the questions about, how we did our projects, but, I reaching out to a mentor that was trusted, that I knew for a long time before I got to the NFL was important. But I think it hinders a lot of people because they feel like, I don't know about that, so I'm not doing that. A lot of guys or former athletes want to go into something, in athletics, but there is a lot of skill. A lot of guys are really smart and they have a skill set that can be beneficial, but they feel like, well, if I didn't do it, then I don't know about it now. I can't do it. But the fact of the matter, everybody's a rookie or amateur at some point. You just got to be able to willing to work. My father used to always say, you can do whatever you want, but you got to be willing to work for it. And it's kind of strange because in that transition, it's almost like telling the doctor who went to school for 13 years outside of his undergrad that once you start working, you're only going to be able to work for 2 years and then you got to do something else. So you kind of get stuck in, well, this is all I am. You get identified with that title, but the skills and the thing that made you a great athlete, you can actually apply that to other industries, and especially doing something that's going to help other people. So, I think it benefited me because I had to be self-disciplined to be a professional athlete. I had to work hard. Like I said, I was a 7th-round draft pick, so I would pick to make it out of my first training camp, and I end up being a guy that I was the last guy playing out of my draft class in my position for the whole NFL. So to be able to fight through a big multi-billion-dollar industry, stayed in there being criticized every day and work through that. You can use that. You have to manage multiple people because you almost become your own business when you're a professional athlete. So those skill sets are really, really important to being a developer. So most people need to just everybody has a gift and everybody has something they can give. So you just got to be able to self-scout yourself and recognize what I have some gifts that I can apply to this business. And if I'm willing to work hard, I can become successful at that.
That's a word. That is a word. And I tend to be a protector of anybody that I know that has any amount of money, fame, influence, anything in their space, because I know there's so many vulture, human, horrible people in the world that just want to suck them dry. And so I'm always cautious when I come to things like, hey, even in syndication, the work that I'm doing now in syndication of real estate projects, I go last to most of those people because I don't want to start that space. When you started, so you talked a little bit about getting a mentor, and when you started, your capital stack when you started, and by no means do I need you to go into all your finances or anything like that, but did you find it easier? Did you self-fund your projects, or did you go raise funds for your projects?
So I actually, it was a little risky. I was younger then, so I could take more risks because I felt like I had more time to make it up. But like I say, I was on a rookie contract, so I didn't make a whole lot of money. And a lot of people don't realize that, it's I don't want to say upper and lower class in professional sports because every sport is different, but everybody that has that NFL shield on them doesn't necessarily have, $20 million in the bank. So a lot of people are thousandaires and you get cut half in taxes and you have all the other expenses you move. And at one point, I was living in 3 different cities at one time. So you have all these things pulling at you. You might have a family and other things going on. But at that point, I actually self-funded the whole project. So I didn't get any other. We actually bought the property from a contractor and developer that had a different model, and he actually went bankrupt. So we bought it from him at a good price, and we went through and took those savings and actually passed it on to the customer. So, my partner had the knowledge base and I had the funding. And he took some of the funding to do the work, and I took some of his knowledge base, and we worked together and we built that project. But yeah, I definitely it was a big risk for me at the time because it was a big chunk of my savings at that time. But I lived below my means. That was just me and my wife at that time, and I didn't have a bunch of cars and the one my actually first real estate investment was I bought a townhouse in the town that I was in Indianapolis. I bought that. And I actually used that as a rental property after I ended up moving. So that was my actual first real estate, investment. But it really comes down to the person because some people are more risk averse and they want to, hey, I do this, but I need to be able to join with other people. And I'm more like that now. I want to bring other people in, not just to be able to use their money, but I want to help educate them at the same time, kind of be their mentor. But yeah, my first project, I self-funded all myself, and I'm so glad that actually worked out, and I got it back out because it probably would have discouraged me early if it didn't work out the way I thought it would.
So it's a lot of who you bring to the table with you,
yeah,
and your partnerships. It's about putting some skill to some knowledge, right? This is what I hear. And it's about trust, because everybody that comes in front of you doesn't have your best intention, but also everybody that comes in front of you doesn't have bad intentions, right? And
yeah,
so you
yeah.
you never quite know when you're on that proverbial mountain, who's trying to knock you down and who's just trying to climb up and see what they can build on top of that and go even higher.
Yep.
Right. So it's a crapshoot, I guess, if you will. Also, to everybody that joined us, kind of our audience, if you have questions, put them in the chat, or I'm gonna ask a couple more questions, and we'll chat a little more, and then we'll definitely take any audience questions. So I definitely want to hear what you guys think or what you want to know. So Julius, well, as we're talking about all of these, the capital and all the things, the big concepts inside of development, so there's definitely a need for these large scale market rate projects, right? Or there is a place for the market rate projects. But would you tell other emerging developers, what would you tell them if they wanted to know, how do I start doing urban revitalization? How do I do urban infill work? Or how do I build affordable housing? Maybe not so much from a finance capital stack perspective, but how do you get started in this work?
First, identify the neighborhood that you want to work in. Get to know the people. Get to know the community development agency or CDC, the local officials, and speak to people. And take advantage of the tax credits that's out there. But it's really a good idea to understand the people's needs and what you can bring value to them, and how you're going to serve them. And another thing, I think they should contact, the local government to see what plans they have for the area, and that's what I'll tell somebody that wants to get into urban revitalization.
Okay, and so thank you. So some really good takeaways from that. The neighborhood, and what we hear a lot is neighborhood, community, policy, procedures. So right now I'm in a program with Neighbor to Neighbor, which is our local neighborhood organization that really brings together Davidson County neighborhoods. And so even though this is the work I do sit in that class with 8 of us. So I feel like a free animal, because I get to go to an actual building and sit with other people, although we're very spaced out. We're very COVID focused and safe. But it's good to sit in a space where we talk about things like policy and zoning, and it helps me pass that on. So I had a conversation just today, with a neighborhood leader who her statement in the class was, all developers are bad, right? And so I get to sit in that space and say, wait, pause. Okay, there are bad developers or people with bad intentions, or maybe they're not bad, but they do projects that don't help the community, right? And then sometimes they're just bad people, right? Like, we just have to be honest about that. So, but there are developers who do the good work, right? So getting your tips really puts us first in the mind of community. And that's literally the work that I do, that says, let's think through the community first. And when we do things like these charrettes, or, you say you do the community outreach, who's really at that table? Because if your area is half gentrified and you have some of the newer people there, but not the older people, we're still missing the voice and the real conversation. So I really like that idea, but you have to know about policy and zoning if you really want to make this work. And if you don't know the community, then you can't talk really effectively to policy and zoning, because you're still leaving people out of that conversation. What about you, Key? What would you say to someone that wants to start this work?
I would say I would kind of piggyback on what he was saying. I think getting to know the community that you want to work in is really important. I don't think you can truly serve a community if you don't know them. And especially if you just look at a city like Nashville, it's so diverse, and so, like, one area may not be the same as another area. So you really got to be able to get in and understand the needs of that community to be able to serve them. And another thing, you have to get in bed with government. You have to know the regulations and the things you can and cannot do. And you really got to build those relationships. Just a short time that I knew, I've known Edward. He's a local developer. He does a lot of things with the city. He's helped me out a lot, just knowing about some of the regulations and things that you can and can't do. So It's a lot of things out there that's beneficial, like the tax credits and things like that. So knowing that, I think is very important. And then lastly is education. I think you have to you don't have to know everything to start, but you need to have that basis. You got to know the numbers, how to set up a deal, how to go about market analysis and finding land and things like that, what works in the zone and things like that. So you have to be able to get that basis of education, either that's by a mentor or just going to different programs and classes that kind of help you out. But then your drive comes from you, like what's your purpose and what's your business plan, your mission in your own company, that comes from you. So, it's a lot of technical stuff you need to kind of know to get started in development, but, what's your mission and what you're planning on doing and how you plan on helping a community, that's going to come from within.
Absolutely. Woo. There's some nuggets today, everybody. I hope you all are taking this away. Of course, I'll make this available. The video will be available, but I want you to share with everyone.
I had another story I want to share. I didn't think I was
Please.
going to share it today, but I just felt like it might be something it might not be something that you can you're going to see early in your development career. But when I first got to Nashville, I actually reached out to a bunch of developers, and I said, I want to be able to learn and kind of do some things where, maybe even come along, help you out, whatever, and find a mentor. And I actually found it a very prominent developer here in Nashville that I had sit down and had a meeting with, and he actually took me around to all the neighborhoods and everything that he did work in. And basically what he was doing, he was, offering people that's, 80, 90-year-olds in these neighborhoods, little or nothing for their houses. And he was tearing them down and building, $1.5 million, with detached apartments in the back, houses. And he literally offered me a job that day. And he was like, you're a minority, you present well, and you'll be the face of our company. You'll be the spearhead of going out and basically getting these Black churches and older Black men and women to sell off their inheritance and get these houses. And needless to say, that conversation didn't go well, and I left it that day. But not everybody is like that. But just the fact that somebody had that mentality, that we even step to me and say something like that, it leads you to know it needs to be more than just one type of person doing this work.
Absolutely.
So that's something that I think is very needed and helpful, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this stuff with the emerging development, emerging developer, and that's why I'm here today, because I want to be able to communicate that you can do it, it's possible, and you can be that person. Everybody always want to say, well, I'm tired of seeing this, I'm tired of seeing that, but you need to be the change that you want to see. So if anything you can help out, and if it's anything that you can learn to be a betterment to your community, I say go out and do it.
I love it, and I am certain I know who that developer is. So yes. I am certain I know who that is. And I sit on a couple of, I'm a chair and co-chair some things with Urban Land Institute with ULI, and I listen more than I speak often because I take in all of the things that these people say. I also really enjoy when people say a lot of things about things Latino focused, not knowing. So it's always good to be a fly on the wall in all the conversations. Julius, do you have any that has my mind like reeling at this point? But do you have any examples maybe of people in your work? You have to come across people who have a different perspective than you in these spaces. How have you navigated something kind of like he did with that development?
Well, let me see how I could best answer this question. Majority of people I met, I met a lot of people. They sat down and gave me advice. They took the time to help me out, help mold me. So I appreciated that. I don't remember anybody that rubbed me the wrong way, but probably one developer, his definition of affordable housing was, I think was outrageous. But I did challenge him on that point. But other than that, I say mostly everybody, took the time to help develop me and gave me positive feedback, and took the time to to see what direction am I going. But not that I know so far that I had any bad encounters with anybody.
Fantastic. One of the things that's good. I'm glad that's been positive. One of the things that I always kind of caution people on when we talk about affordable housing is to think about that range, right? Because you can go from 0 to 120% of the area median income. And so when people say affordable housing, what is their definition of affordability? And what does that do? And then the other side of that is also uh, purchase, because home ownership is equally as important, if not more, maybe sometimes in this affordable space as rental. And so I come across a lot of developers who are really excited about affordable housing and they're going to do the good work, and it's all rental. And there's definitely nothing wrong with affordable rental because that's a need. But I definitely, inside of minority diverse, I really don't like the word minority because it makes it seem less, but communities of
Yep.
color, I like to see home ownership because that really pushes us forward and that gives us assets to move forward. Let me turn it out to everyone that joined us here today. What questions do you all have? What thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, anything? I want to hear from you all for sure. Hey,
Hi,
Sarah.
how are you?
Great. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. I appreciate all of y'all's time today. I just told my husband I was on this call, and Key and Lamont, he was fanboying over both of you. So he's pretty jealous of me right now. But so I serve, as you can see, shameless plug on my background here with Rebuilding Together Nashville, actually with Ed. I was on the board previously, and now I'm on their development committee. And we have had previous sponsors or supporters through the entertainment industry, but we, would love to be able to have some sort of support from athletes because the work we are doing directly affects those types of communities that you were talking about before. So we have the home ownership and we want to keep them in their homes. We're providing those essential repairs to keep them owning their homes in communities where they already live. So, Key, when you said wanting to take those homes away from them, that just breaks my heart. And so that's the opposite, what we're doing. So we're working a lot in North Nashville, and, we've tried to diversify our board more, have people from the communities that we're serving serve on our boards as well, and serve on our committees. How else can we really relate to the communities we're serving? And how would you suggest maybe getting in front of the people that we could get to help endorse us? I know y'all have talked about how it's been your career after sports, which is amazing, but how can we also maybe get somebody who's currently in it?
Yeah, I think being able to reach out to the NFLPA or the individual teams are really important. They have I'm trying to think of, I know one of the ladies who's over the community outreach at the Titans, and being able to get with her and saying, hey, we want to set up a meeting and talk to the players one day, during the off season, and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. We want you to get behind it. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't know players are actually looking for ways to help people, and nobody ever just comes out and asks, or they might do something that's structured by the team, but they don't do anything outside of that. So I just think being able to get connected with athletes, at their facility, and having some type of even town hall where you can actually discuss those issues and give them the education about it, because a lot of people don't know some of the places, neighborhoods they're driving past every day. Especially the Titans, you got the Rosa Park area and everything over there, Germantown. That area is actually changing a lot. But I think if when I was playing there in 2012, if somebody would have came into the facility, got in touch with me and said, hey, these areas are changing, we need to get into these communities and put our money together and kind of keep some of these people there, I would have been all for it. But I just didn't know about what was going on. And by the time I left and went to New Orleans and came back, I saw houses that were for sale for $25K, and there were $700,000 duplexes there when I came back from New Orleans. And I was like, this is crazy. But knowing
Insane.
that, you know, if I would have known that then, it was plenty of guys in my locker room would have put up cash and taken care of it. Some of the guys that I played with during that time, Derek Morgan, he's doing a lot of stuff in his community, and he has I think $200 million opportunity zone fund, which is ridiculous. But you know, his locker was right beside me, and we would have been doing things like that at that time. So definitely reaching out to the community outreach with the Titans, and then just reaching out to NFLPA and trying to get some type of program and get some kind of connection in different cities, in the different NFL cities, to connect players with those communities.
Definitely.
So I want to brag on Rebuilding Together for just a second. When in my previous life at the Housing Fund, I put a lot of funds out, right, for different things. And one of the things that we were passionate about was the Pearlcomb community, which is a historically Black community in Nashville. And what we saw was there were a lot of homes, senior people that needed to age in place, individuals. We wanted them to be able to age in place. And so we got funds and grant funds to put money into the community. Well, my job was to make sure that that happened, the funds went out. And so I put some calls into some people, and Rebuilding Together came with no problem and kind of matched us on funds and opportunity. And we put $63,000 out into the Pearlcomb community and fixed up 8 homes. So yay, Rebuilding Together. So I definitely will speak to the greatness of what they're doing and the work. And there's never enough funds, time, or people to do the work that you all are doing, but we appreciate you.
One example, I've been here since 2012, and I work in real estate, and it's the first time you're hearing about Rebuilding Together. So
That's a shame. We need to get in front of more people.
that's crazy
Right.
to me. Yeah.
So that sounds like,
Because he's with Habitat, that's why.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
And actually, I did some work with Habitat for Humanity down in Wilson County, and they had a program that they was trying to start that they wanted me to help out with that was similar to this, but they could never get it off the ground. But yeah, I would have definitely been a part, and knowing now, I will be a part of it. So
Great.
See there, connections. That's all I do,
love it.
guys. That's all I do.
Thanks, Dominique.
Sure. And the fun thing is, this is a great time to talk about, and you'll see a lot more of it, but the Sankofa Real Estate Summit will launch in January, and that is from my firm. We are doing a summit in January to empower communities of color to rebuild communities of people that look like them, right? So that's emerging developers and across the real estate space, but it's a 2-day summit, and we'll have thought leaders like Key and like Julius and people like Sarah, thought leaders like Sarah are going to come in and say, you know, this is what we're doing, and we need to bridge that partnership. So it's not really a shameless plug, but it's a thought to say, guess what? The thought that you're having, how do we get more people to know we're here and to build community? And Key is saying we have people with resources that want to do the good work, they just don't know how. And I found it over and over and over. And that's not just NFL, that's NBA, that's hockey, that's baseball, that's everywhere. And so there are cores of people, and all I do as a connector is, I say all I do, my husband's always like, stop saying all you do. What I do as a connector is connect people, because I people well.
Not just in athletics either. I know doctors and lawyers and business owners that would love to be a part of that too.
I have a doctor on here right now who is, I'm not going to say his name if he doesn't want me to, but he we're actually working on something in another city, and we're creating a social enterprise space for people to build their businesses, but do well by doing good. So they will be able to hyper locally put their money back in their community and create strong, sustainable businesses. And so, doctors, engineers, also have an engineer on here who will be looking to do the good work. So it's amazing. Lamont Turner, you have a thought?
Yes, I was just curious, for those who want to connect with those who have experiences, what would make it worthwhile for you all to invest your time, energy, resources to maybe connect, to create like a community focused partnership with those locally who either want to develop or they want to, as you said, 2 or 3 generations into a community here in Williamson County and Franklin, and I deal with a lot of aldermen too, to where they're always looking for these type of affordable housing initiatives to try to create an initiative like that. But for those who have a passion for it, or like you said, for those of our community who would like to get started in this, like what's the best way for them to position themselves to potentially partner with experienced developers like yourselves to get
Oh,
to actually work on a project?
that sounds like an emerging developers academy, doesn't it, Q?
Yeah, I think just setting up networking opportunities, making sure you got your stuff together is the big thing, because you know, once you're in a certain position or you're doing stuff, you get pitched stuff all the time and you always get sold things. So making sure that you kind of put the time and you got the connection with that community. If it's not necessarily funding, do you have that knowledge base of the area that you want to do the work? Do you have a business plan? I think it's very important. But being able to connect, I think communication is the biggest thing. Like you have to be able to get in front of these people. So be able to create a, you know, if it is from like my side or whatever, but create a networking opportunity where you can have people that have the funds, but maybe not have the time, that want to do the work, and have the people that want to do the work. And if they got the knowledge base and their stuff together on the business side of things, and kind of connect those people together. But like I say, it's one of those things, sometimes it becomes kind of like a buzzword. People want to do it, but they never actually take action. So biggest thing is like starting off, say, hey, this is a project. It may be a small project, but this project might turn into doing something in a whole community. Maybe identifying a small project. Like I got a project now that I told Dominic about in Columbia. It's a small triplex, but you know, it might turn into another lot that's available down there. That's a 21 unit multifamily piece of property that could be a development. So, and it has another commercial development that connects to that property. So you can literally, if I can get people around that's you know, that's focused enough or excited enough about this smaller project, and that can be successful, and they can see they can pull money out and then be a help, they can kind of just move to those other two projects in the same area that's close by each other. And so it's all about kind of just, you know, starting somewhere, taking action, getting that knowledge base, and then look for networking opportunities, not just to sell somebody something, but to be able to present something that can actually be a benefit for everybody.
Look for networking opportunities, not to just sell somebody, but to be a benefit. That is great. Real quick, Key and Julius, will you drop your info in the chat so that if anybody wants to connect with you, they can? And then I also wanted to kind of circle back to Dr. Mario Ray, who is on here out of Memphis. And that's where the Ignite Mob is a incubator and accelerator that we're working on, and MOB stands for minority owned businesses. And so we're currently building out an incubator and accelerator for minority owned businesses to become social enterprises and cycle their money around. But like you said, Key, doctors like Mario are, they have the availability, they're accredited investors, they have the funds that they want to do something, and he's got a business mind and has done a lot of business things, and is really looking for ways to improve communities. Memphis for sure, right? And there's a lot of opportunity to do great work and great things in Memphis, just as in Nashville. And that's where I like to Moses people. I only will take them if they will leave it better than they found it, because I have a real affinity for the city. And so, although I'm a native Nashvilleian, I'm a Memphian by choice. And so if there's a way to do that work, we definitely will do that. Terry White, who is on here, is an architect and a really smart guy who has come to Nashville and is here to do some really great things. Yes, Terry White, I'm bragging on you while you're here. And so I think that we have some really awesome opportunities. What else? Any other questions, thoughts, comments?
Just to add on to that,
Yeah.
the parent company I work for, Liz, they have
Yes.
a program called Acorn for, like, you know, people that want to get into development. I say you could reach out to them. Another one is to always look at your community development corporations to see what's going on and how to access some of these funds. And I say LinkedIn is really really good. You know, it's easier to reach out to people that have your similar interests. You know.
Absolutely, because that's how I reached out to you, right? I was like,
Yeah.
hey, here's what I'm doing. You want to go? It'd be great. I think it'll be perfect. See how that works? Just see the need and ask. The answer's only no. That doesn't kill us, right?
They don't have it because they don't ask.
That's right. That's right. I ask for everything, right? That might be because I was a publicist and I used to have to ask all the time. I like to shake trees and see what falls out. So I don't have any fear in that space. Oh my goodness. What a great conversation. Can you believe we got 5 minutes left? Can you believe that? You've really been doing something today. Drop in the chat. Give me a 1 if you feel like you've gained something new and awesome and interesting today, or 2 if this was a full waste of your day. Please don't say 2 because it'll make me sad and then I might cry and you don't want to see that. So everybody put 1 in the chat box. What else? Anything, Julius? Any parting thoughts?
I'll just say, I appreciate you taking the time to, speak to me and acknowledging me of what I've been doing in the community. And only thing I say, like, I'm on the phone, so I can't type in my information, but if you want to get a hold of me, it's best to contact me through LinkedIn and inbox me. And, if you have any questions, I answer back to you. And only thoughts I have is, we need to continue speaking about these issues in the community. This is what's going to make our community better in the future. And we're on the right track, and, just continue doing what you're doing,
Yeah, I definitely want to plug Pathway Lending's emerging developer cohort. It starts actually October 27th. It's a 6-week program that basically goes over real estate and development, market analysis, pro forma project, financial modeling, construction and development, and then it has a legal and social responsibility portion to it. I just put the link in the chat that you can go in and register. So it's a limited class. So if anybody here wants to be a part of that, it's actually free now. But once we actually start it, this is kind of like our pilot course. But once we start it twice a year, it's probably going to be worth like maybe $1,000 for somebody else that want to go in and do it. But it's basically, a business in a box if you want to get into real estate development. So I just put that in the chat session. So if you want to sign up and enroll for that, go ahead and do that.
Free. Get in now.
Free.
Sign up now. Free.
You want to be a developer? That's his education point I was talking about. It's right here. So you should be happy that you joined the webinar today.
See that? It's just the gift that keeps on giving. Information, free classes. See? Whew. All right. I think we covered a lot in 57 minutes or 52 minutes because we started at 12:05. I'm very excited to see all the 1s in the box. I'm very excited to see everyone here. And I will share this out. If anyone is in witness protection or doesn't want their face out, please let me know. Not now, but later. And I won't share this with everyone. Other than that, I truly, truly, truly thank Key and Julius for being my chat guests today and dropping all the nuggets of knowledge. I really thank everyone that came. I thank you for your questions and your input. And with that, I will say adios.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Have an amazing week and weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.